40% podcast. I'm 40% podcast. You know I'm 40% podcast, baby. You know I'm 40% podcast. You know I'm 40% podcast, baby. I'm only 40%. Go. 40% podcast. I'm 40% podcast. Hello, everyone. I'm Jinkx Monsoon, and welcome to a brand new episode of I'm 40% Podcast. The queer
See, I used to hit that one when we introduced the guest, but now we don't have a guest, so I'm thinking maybe I'll do it when you talk, because you go, girl.
The queer Futurama podcast that no one asked for. With me, as always, is the Seattle Playboy, moved to LA. Oh God, I had it better last time.
Yeah.
The LA. What did I call it?
It needs to fit on a business card, it needs to be punchy.
The esoteric fuckboy of the internet.
I kind of like that, but I also admit to, while having an English degree, not really understanding what esoteric means. One time, my friend Tristan described my knowledge of Pokemon as being esoteric. Is that esoteric?
Esoteric is... I don't want to be the one to describe what it means.
Interesting if true.
It's not a bad description. It's an accurate description.
Okay.
But I wonder how you're going to interpret the word once you know the full meaning.
Well, should I look it up now? We can find out here on the podcast.
But definitely before our next episode.
Okay.
My esoteric
we'll end on
friend.
a cliffhanger, like many season finales do.
It entices them to come back. Okay. We are going to review the final episode of season
11, I think.
Season 11 of RuPaul's Futurama drag. Okay, of Futurama. Season 11 of Futurama. Hulu picked it up. They released a new season. Now that season's coming to an end. Where will Futurama go from here? Who knows? But
well, there's still 10 more episodes that they already made, but they won't come out for a while.
Sure. I gotta say, this final episode, oh my God.
What does that mean?
I just loved it. Loved it.
Okay.
I loved it.
I liked it too.
I was dubious for a moment. I was like, oh,
you were the dupe-tress?
But I honestly, I just freaking loved it. I laughed out loud. I felt inspired. It's a very good episode.
Okay. Yeah, I liked it too. Should we talk about it? Do we have to do anything first?
Is there news?
No. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, how are you life-wise?
I'm good. Went to a Jessie Ware concert last night. Do you know her? Have you met her in your British travels?
I feel like... Oh.
She's like a disco mom, as I would describe her. She makes disco songs, but she's always like, "Oi, I gotta get back home to London town and see my kids."
Is she a drag persona or?
No, she's just a popular musician.
So Adele?
Yeah, it's Adele.
Okay. Well, I'm working hard on the holiday show. Nothing I'm allowed to disclose, but it's gonna be a good one. So
I'm gonna say something right now. Ben de la Creme is in it. Big scoop. And I'm revealing that here on the podcast. You heard it here first.
I got a big scoop right here. Now, why don't you
if you're not watching on YouTube, you're missing out on what the big scoop is. And I think if you go to YouTube and watch, you'll be very surprised what Jinkx's scoop is.
Nick, take us into the episode.
Very well. The episode.
It was my tit.
It was your tip, and now no one's going to go to the YouTube because you told them.
No, they'll want to see it now.
Can we show your tit on YouTube?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know what kind of tit it counts as these days. Because people call me ma'am, so does that mean my nipples are female perceived? Remember that? Remember? Female perceived nipples.
Remember when they blurred Valentina's nipples on All Stars and they didn't blur anyone else's nipples and it was kind of shady?
But here's the thing is, everyone should be allowed to have their chest out, right? That's
I
the
agree,
thing.
of course.
And it's sad that people with breasts, certain people can't because historically men are assholes, and that's all there is to it.
I'm pretty sure it's men. I think
it's a
the
man's
men did
fault.
it.
Okay. Anyway, let's get into the episode.
The episode is called All the Way Down. All the way down. Do you know that RuPaul song? All the way down. You make me feel. It was the like main theme for either like
Down Under?
season 14 or 15. It was like the main RuPaul song in the trailer. And then they didn't do a verse for it at the end, and I was very disappointed because it's probably my favorite RuPaul song. Period.
All right, so Futurama
is
opens with a chyron that says
original air date September 25th, 2023. The chyron says
Veni Sedi Vici. So now we know
Vidi.
that Veni Vidi Vici is I came, I conquered, I saw.
No,
I
you
came,
got
I
it
saw,
wrong.
I
The last one
conquered.
is Vidi, because that one saw.
Veni Vici. What? Okay, what is
Vidi
it? You do
is
it.
the last one. You can write things down if you want to say
No,
things.
it's Veni Vidi Vici. That's how. Yeah. Okay.
I know, but this isn't that. This is a different phrase.
That's right. Okay, so this
It
is.
says Veni Sedi Vidi.
Oh, I get it. Okay, so it's I came, I sat, I saw.
Which is what happens when you watch
The original one is
Futurama.
I came, I saw, I conquered.
Yes,
Veni Vidi
that's why
Vici.
they're in a different
Okay.
order.
Well, why did you confuse me, English major? Can't you just? This is why you do nothing with your degree. This is why you write jokes for a living.
Yeah, for some idiot. Some dumb idiot. So we open on a blocky Planet Express. It looks like it's perhaps made in Minecraft or something. And we zoom in and we see the hologram. It's like a hologram. It's in Planet Express. It's a hologram of Planet Express, but it's blocky, you know?
Yeah, okay. So this is why I was dubious. Because after the last episode, I was like, no, they're not really going to do a whole episode in a pixel
Of
planet
blocky.
now, right? Where everyone's aware that they're a pixel, but not like concerned with that they know what a pixel is. Like,
When did they say that they're pixels?
Oh my God, Bender says,
When did
bite
they
my
say it?
shiny middle pixel. And that was, if they weren't self-aware that they were pixels, everything about it would have been just fine. But here's the thing is,
that actually doesn't make any sense at all now.
they do such an amazing thing with the simulation that was my only dubious moment. I was like, oh my God, are we going to watch a whole thing about them being pixels? And it's like, but the pixel joke actually made me laugh really hard. And this is why I'm saying...
By shiny middle pixel?
No, not that. Just the whole having to watch them as 3 pixels for a while. That joke really worked because it had a purpose. And I'll watch something stupid if it has a purpose. The last episode was stupid with no purpose. Now, I'll let you lead like you do. I'm going to let you finish. I just had to say, this episode is probably the best episode of the season. Okay, I'm going to let you finish.
I agree. Why are you quoting Kanye West?
Is that who said that?
Yeah, that was him interrupting Taylor Swift. You know, this was before he was like an outspoken anti-Semite, but this was when he interrupted her at the VMAs, remember?
I just remember that someone interrupted Taylor Swift at some point.
Well, it
and
was
said,
funny
"I'ma let you
because he was
finish."
like, I'm going to let you finish. And
But
he
Beyonce
said,
had the
"All
best
respect-
album of
yeah."
the year.
And then it cuts to Beyonce in the audience, and she's like, what? What are you doing?
Sit down. I didn't ask him to do this.
Yeah, he's not well. Someone should take care of him. The Planet Express crew is, as you said, these little 3-block people. And it kind of looks like a 3D version of like a 2600 game, like an Atari game, you know about those.
Yeah.
So we find out that it's powered by it's a simulation that the professor made of the whole universe, and it's powered by the Simputron. The Simputron?
Simputron.
Okay, Simputron. Yes. Which uses the energy of 100 bug zappers. And he had to turn off all the bug zappers.
All of the bug zappers are off. And then a mosquito flies around. Bender gets angry, takes off his arm, swats at it, hits Zoidberg in the process. And then Zoidberg goes, "You didn't get the mosquito." And Bender says, "There was a mosquito in here." Now, this is funny because it means that Bender just took off his arm and started swatting wildly until he hit Zoidberg, which was his goal, which means he just had terrible aim for the first two swings.
Which is uncharacteristic of him.
Or Bender is just fucking with Zoidberg, because at that point you gotta assume, like, Bender's a robot. He should have better aim than that. He can put a tail precisely on the donkey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when he uses his X-ray vision.
Okay, anyway,
so they're like looking at, they're kind of like spying on the simulation, right? It becomes like fun for them to watch it. And the simulated crew has to make a delivery to Space Italy.
When you're running a program this big, it's gonna get a little lazy in certain points. You can't expect me to have a great idea for everything. Sometimes you just get Space Italy or Dr. Zoidberg.
So we kind of go into the simulation, and we're watching these blocky people fly to Space Italy, and I love this vista in the background. These Italian vistas.
Wait, we didn't rate the Chiron. I give it 5 out of 5 Chirons.
I give it 5 out of 5 Chirons.
Okay, go on. Pixels.
Wow, you remembered. You have such little respect for the Chiron ranking system. And here you are in my moment of need, coming in to save the day.
Listen.
We've really grown a lot during this podcast, have we not? We're bigger, better people. We're stronger together.
I think to rate anything subjective is a nuanced conversation.
Could we do like a photo shoot where I'm like on your shoulders like a little baby?
Keep going with the episode.
Okay, so the block people, they go to Space Italy, and
they're pixels.
They're pixels, yes. And Bender, he doesn't even care about the delivery. He doesn't want to walk up the steps.
The captions for this episode, when the pixels would speak, it would say 3 pixel Bender, 3 pixel Fry. Yeah, I loved it.
Which is confusing because of what happens later, because they're the same entity still, but we'll get into that. So Bender, he doesn't want to deliver it. He just throws it over his shoulder, but it hits the space
into
poke.
Pixel Treve.
Well, he's aiming for the Pixel Gloria Trevi fountain, but it hits the space pope in the head.
Yes,
and that's why he's arrested.
And then someone says, "Papa Pia." Now
they do say Papa Pia.
Papa Pia. Now, I think this is so fucking funny because when we were kids, we had this stupid rhyme where we would go, "Mamma mia, Papa Pia, big a pizza pie." Did you have that?
Not that exact one, but I think everyone did.
Papa Pia doesn't
song.
Exist anywhere, right?
No, Papa Pia is nothing. But Rick and Morty actually did a Papa Pia joke, I believe, in season 5. In an episode that I didn't really care for. So it is a part of our
zeitgeist, right?
It has become. It's just the joke is that Mamma Mia means my mother. But so, like, if you're stupid, you would think that Papa Pia would mean my father, but it would just be Papa Mia. That's like kind of the joke.
Okay, I thought everyone was the same age as me and remembered that little rhyme as a kid.
Everyone didn't grow up, like, in your living room, Jinkx. I don't know why you think everyone knows that song. I remember that song from, like, a toy commercial. It was
all the kids at Abernathy Elementary.
Why do you keep doxing yourself?
I don't live there. Everyone knows I live in Portland because I won't shut up about it. Oh, whatever. Everyone knows everything already. That the drag race historians have already documented it all.
And they've all seen your hole.
I've been pretty good about not letting my hole out there, but
it's not what I've heard.
I mean, once you made Wiki Feet, all bets were off. Like, I mean, they've penetrated into every part of my life. I'm like Ava Perón.
Yes. Really?
I'm a public because I'm a public figure. I have to live my life publicly. I've made that choice.
Doesn't she like suck though? I don't really know about her.
Well, she was a bitch, yes. No, she wasn't a bitch. I don't know. It depends on who you ask. You know, fucking misogyny is at the root of everything. She did some good things. She did some bad things. What do you want? They wrote a musical about her. You can find out for yourself.
So yeah, we start getting into like simulation theory here, where the sort of regular Planet Express crew, the non-simulation one, starts to wonder if they could be in a simulation. And we get a couple like things to demonstrate the science of this with the cup and the like.
So essentially the bit here is that the professor keeps saying it's impossible that they could be in a simulation, and he keeps saying reasons why it's impossible. And then Amy keeps pointing out holes in his justifications for why it's impossible. Then after this goes round and round a few times, and it's very funny and clever, and it made me laugh, but then the professor goes, I have an announcement. It is entirely possible that we ourselves are in a simulation. And Hermie says, that's the exact opposite of what you said just moments ago. And he says, I was presented with new information and I've changed my mind. I'm a scientist, not an... And someone says idiot, and he says politician.
Yeah, that was very good. I really enjoyed that. I loved
it. And all the while, 3 Pixel Fry and 3 Pixel Leela are having 3 Pixel sex in front of them all.
We sort of watch them. And they go on a date, and then they lay in the grass by the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and they just start fucking there.
They're banging, and everyone's watching it, and then they put a little cloche over them for discretion. But then
I knew you would know what that was called.
It's called a cloche.
I wrote down they put on one of those silver platter covers because I don't know what else to call it.
It's a cloche.
Why do you know all these fancy things? You also taught me the word ramekin. You remember with Violet Chachki?
I like to learn new words. Now, the professor takes the cloche off again, and the 3 Pixel Fry and Leela are motionless, laying there on top of each other. Now, one could assume that they have completed whatever they're doing and now they're just napping, or they're just having really slow sex. Really, careful, motionless sex.
What does that mean?
So if you're doing the rhythm method, you don't want to get carried away.
Okay. Well, we
I'm
here
a
don't
big
condone.
fan of the rhythm method.
We don't condone the rhythm method.
I haven't gotten pregnant yet, and I use the rhythm method.
No one do the rhythm method. Just
My
join the
mom
Rhythm
used
Nation.
Anyone else a rhythm method, baby? Do you know the
upset.
other day? Do you know the other day on Grindr, someone said something like, "I'm not trash. I wasn't conceived in a church parking lot." Or they literally said that, and that's literally my truth. I was conceived in a church parking.
Whoa! I lost my virginity in a church parking lot.
I know. I had to buy drugs
through
in a church
quantum
parking
entanglement,
lot in Wales.
I'm your father?
Oh my god!
I mean, I didn't lose my virginity to someone who looked like your mom, but maybe I don't know.
You're not. There's no way. Except I do have your nose, so that's weird.
So Bender realizes for the 10th time in this series that he's an artificial intelligence.
For the 10th time, that's a good point.
It seriously has happened so many times. He's gone through crisis of this many, many a time. But this time I like it because it's a way for him to find sort of camaraderie with the simulated people, because he's like, if they're just an AI and I'm just an AI, then turning them off would be like turning me off. So he gets very protective of them.
Yeah. And I loved, I glossed over it, but the little bit with the ball in the cup, the professor is explaining how the...
Quantum mechanics.
Yeah, quantum mechanics, but it's also like, the philosophy that led to quantum mechanics. Who is that?
Is it the Schrödinger cat?
Schrodinger's cat, yeah. I love that that's like the same fucking thing. Remember who loves Schrodinger's cat? Courtney Act. Courtney Act.
Why does she love that? What do you mean?
I don't know if you remember, but for season 6, when Courtney Act was in the top 3.
What are you talking about?
People kept asking her how she felt about her chances about winning, and she said, what I really like right now is I'm living in this existence where I both have won and not... I've won and I've not won right now because the winner hasn't been revealed yet. So she was basically comparing herself to Schrodinger's cat.
Did she say Schrodinger's cat, or did you add this layer onto it?
No, she said Schrodinger's cat.
Then that's rad.
She was like...
And I love Courtney even more.
She was like this, I kind of feel like Schrodinger's cat. Okay, go on with the episode.
One of my favorite Futurama jokes of all time is a Schrodinger's cat joke in the episode where Fry becomes a policeman.
Cat, and so does Courtney. I know.
Do you know that one?
Yes, okay. Okay, back to this episode.
Okay.
Oh.
So Bender is like, Hermes is like, I think before I am. Do you think? And he's like, I don't think I can. And that's pretty funny. The professor wants to turn off the simulation machine because it's just taking up too much electricity. But Bender, he doesn't like that. And he, like we said, is empathizing with the simulated people. So he leaps at them and says, no. And it cuts to commercial.
This bit is so fucking funny.
And when it comes back to commercial, you still hear him saying no. But like Hermes and Professor are just standing there like struggling to turn it off.
They have a little conversation about it. The professor decides not to turn it off for a completely different reason, unrelated to Bender trying to stop him. Bender finally stops screaming no and says, thanks, Professor. Now, that's funny in of itself. And I was like, so it's funny in of itself that happened. But I was like, I wonder what that means. Like, was Bender slow motion leaping through the air? What was happening? And I didn't think they were going to explain it. And instead, they did my favorite thing in comedy, where they basically just explain the joke and why Bender says, Leela says, Bender, were you leaping that whole time? And Bender says, no, my first leap missed by a mile. But so then I leapt a second time. But I never stopped screaming, even for a second.
Yes.
I'm going to allow this.
It's very funny. It's very stupid. I love a good stupid joke. And we go back and we look at the simulation some more, and the pixel people are all of a sudden just reenacting the first episode of this season, where Fry decides to binge every show ever made.
Oh, Lord.
So I like this meta aspect that they're doing. It's fun.
Throughout the episode, they're making comments on themselves as the writers of Futurama. And I like that. I love lampooning oneself.
Yeah. And it's a nice full circle moment because it makes this season feel very cohesive. I would say this was, hey, whoever decided this should be the last episode, very smart. You deserve a raise.
Yeah. And I guess
all
that's
the writers
probably
deserve
why
raises.
they put that last episode as the penultimate episode, because this episode really like wipes the taste out of your mouth.
We're back to positive. They're like, this.
Sorry, I can't let it go. I gotta let it go.
Be
I gotta let it
nice.
go.
Everyone
I'm
worked so
being
hard.
nice.
Someone had to design the
make
little
it
duck
nice.
people.
Make it nice. Make it nice.
Okay, so they are watching TV, and Hypnotoad is just a blinking dot, which I thought was really funny. He's just one pixel. And we zoom out, and Fry's like, wow, that orange guy sure is dumb.
Okay.
The professor and Bender are still arguing if the simulation people are sentient or not. And Leela actually kind of sides with Bender on this. And they end up having a big important meeting at a robot strip club because it needed to be a place that was important to Bender. Where Bender and Professor vow to keep the simulation people alive and not let them find out if they're a simulation.
That's what happens from this scene, but there's so many good moments. First of all, it starts with Bender and the Professor putting their hands on top of one another's. Mm-hmm. So it's like Bender's hand on top of the Professor's, and then the Professor on top of Bender, and then Bender's other hand. And then they zoom out, and Bender's got his foot in the air, and he goes, now do the feet. And Professor goes, no, why are we at a robot strip club? Bender says, it needed to be somewhere significant to me. A stripper comes by, opens a beer on
with her
tit,
robot tits, yeah.
Hands it to Bender, who chugs it in one gulp, burps a flaming burp, and then goes, now on with this ceremonious... this solemn ceremony.
So they do the swear. They swear the oath to protect the simulation, but they're wondering how they're going to get enough power. And it cuts to the bathroom, and Professor's sitting on the toilet, and everyone's standing in there.
What's funny here is he implies that he would need some kind of hydroelectricity situation, like a dam, you know?
And I was like, are they gonna go to a universe where Bender is a dam? Like he became a dam that one time? You remember that?
Yeah, but instead we hear the toilet flush, which makes you think that the infinite supply of hydroelectricity is gonna come from the Professor's toilet. And then we cut to him, and the writing is so good because he goes, as you know, I spent a lot of the time on the toilet, so you still think maybe this toilet is going to power the universe. But then they take it a layer deeper.
Deeper.
Huh? Get it?
Mm-hmm.
All the way
really
down?
Good.
All the way down?
All the way down. All the way down. You make me feel.
What is that?
RuPaul.
Avril Lavigne?
Your boss.
That's right.
Your boss and best friend.
My lover, my mother. Go on with the episode. They go to the sewer.
I was trying, and you said you acted like you were going to tell this part, and I was making space for you.
Make it nice.
John Robert, come on the show. They reveal, well, first of all, Amy's reaction is very funny in this. She's like, stop telling us about your toilet. It's like a running thing. It's very like stop asking energy from the Atlantis episode.
Yes, and they're making them do meetings in the bathroom, in his bedroom.
This is a recurring thing. In the bath one time.
Amy's starting to get really fed up with the Professor.
Amy's mad.
I also love, remember how we've talked about before that Amy is smart when Amy needs to be smart? Mm-hmm. Amy is very smart in this episode. She's still very Amy, but she's extremely smart in this episode, and kudos to Amy. She
cracks all of it.
Yeah.
So this is so confusing. So his thing is like, they have a map that's also toilet paper. And
no, he says, I've been looking at these old maps, which I use in lieu of toilet paper, and everyone goes, oh, come on. Like, they're all so upset with the Professor. Oh. They're all like, please stop.
He shows on the sewer line map that the main sewer line goes right under Planet Express. So they're going to put like a hydroelectric valve in there. What would you call it? Like a vent,
He
a
calls
fan?
it what does he call a turbine? He calls it a turbine. Yeah.
Turbine. Yes, I know about science. So they put a big drill on the front of the Planet Express ship, and they drill all the way down. And they there's some Easter eggs in the background. Like we see a street sign that says like "This way to robot hell," and we see a piece of the land Titanic.
They just can't help but do that bit. Every time in The Simpsons when we see, like, going below, they gotta put something in there.
Yeah, there's gotta be a Dracula.
Too.
It happened in Loki, too. Remember when it scrolled down in Loki season 1 and you saw a bunch of Marvel Easter eggs, including Frog Thor, a.k.a. Throg. I couldn't remember what his name is.
Go on.
So they go all the way down, and they drill in, and it works, and it's very smelly and gross. They have to like decontaminate Planet Express, but it worked. They have the turbine in there, and it's powering. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Did you burp?
A little bit.
Okay. So they have the turbine in there. It's working. It's gonna power the simulation at a higher resolution. So now it just looks like the regular Planet Express people, but with like a little glow around it, so that we don't get confused what universe we're in.
Even further drawing to the conclusion that the that the universe that we have been watching this whole time of Futurama is a simulation, just like implying that our universe just as easily could be a simulation.
Well,
do
you know about simulation theory? You know about this stuff? You seen this? You heard about this?
I've seen The Matrix, and I can fill it in for myself.
Well, it was like basically the core, and I hate that I'm saying this because here's what I want to say. I used to think simulation theory was like a cool, fun, abstract idea to kind of like talk about, but it got co-opted by sort of tech bro culture. And now Elon Musk is absolutely convinced, as though it was a religion, that we are living in a simulation. And that kind of thinking is dangerous. Like we need to, because even if we were, like as the moral of this episode states, we need to live as though the universe's rules are out of our control. Well,
because if Elon Musk thinks he's living in a simulation, that it would kind of give him a free pass to be the world's biggest asshole. And that's exactly what he's done. So, yes. Kudos, and actually, Elon.
Just as long as we're talking about the actual kind of simulation theory as it exists, there is a very cool documentary called A Glitch in the Matrix, done by the same guy who did Room 237. And he basically interviews, I don't think he would describe the movie this way, but he basically interviews a bunch of kooks who think that simulation theory is real. And he kind of goes through their story. But what's interesting about it, and I wish there was a content warning on this movie, I will give you a content warning. One of the people they're interviewing, content warning for violence, committed a horrible murder because he was convinced he was living in a simulation. And that's sort of the dark side of this. So if you want to know about like why this is an interesting, fun thing to talk about, but not something to be treated seriously, go watch that movie, A Glitch in the Matrix. It's cool, but it's also horrifying.
I appreciate you taking a moment to talk about it. Here's the big thing. We don't know.
We will never know.
We don't know. But what we do know is our actions in this universe, in this reality, in this timeline, have consequences. And even if this were a simulation, wouldn't that mean that every other like sentient person also is connected to something? Or do you think, see, here's the thing about Elon Musk and people like him. And hearing that this is how he thinks just makes such perfect sense. These big CEOs, these people who become incredible billionaires, they are able to build such an incredible bubble around themselves that they can convince themselves things like this. Like they are the only person in existence that matters because everyone else is fake. That kind of vanity, that kind of self-obsession and narcissism, plus that kind of money and influence and power. I mean, it's literally what we have been warned about by every story, by every piece of art, by like everything, our entire lives. And now we see these people doing it, the thing we've been warned about. And so many people don't want to call it what it is because it's just so terrifying to admit that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But Futurama's a fun little take on this concept.
Yeah. Hermes says, sweet facsimile of Spacedly. That was pretty funny. I think he actually said it earlier, but I didn't notice it until the second time.
Papa P.
Papa
You
P.
knocked over the Pope.
The simulation, people now start wondering if they are in a simulation. So it's getting pretty crazy. And the simulation within God, I'm mixing all this up because the simulation people make their own simulation.
Yes,
which is why Hermes says it's like catching up.
It's the Black Mirror episode that we just watched.
I didn't watch it with you. I was not with you for that.
Not that you and I watched. We as a society.
We as a society.
Joan is awful. It was a really good episode.
I didn't watch it yet.
We watched it.
Apologies to Jared Goldstein. We're rooting for you. I just haven't watched it yet.
It had an impact, okay, Nick? Trust me.
It did. It was the one from this season that everyone was talking about. It was the clear.
I mean, just like the Miley one.
Yes. And by the way, Ashley O, I like her better than Miley Cyrus. She's my favorite musician of all time. Oh my gosh,
shush. The point is, we're not unfamiliar with this concept. There's a simulation within the simulation. They make a little joke about how it's confusing. But what we're watching is just another example about how the universe that we've been watching, the Planet Express universe, the Futurama universe that we are familiar with, could possibly be a simulation.
Yes, they're toying with that, and actually sort of a fun meta way.
It's an important detail.
It is. And a fun meta way they set that up is now that we have these 3 layers of simulation, it's down in the block people world, and it zooms out, and it's in the simulation that we've been following, and then it zooms out again, and it's Planet Express. And then it zooms out again and goes to commercial. So, like, we don't really know what it would have zoomed out to, you know.
It zoomed out to our reality. And that's the joke. Because Futurama is obviously a simulation. It's an animated show we are watching. We know that. And then it zoomed out to... If it zoomed out to a commercial, if it zoomed out to an ad, not for me because I'm bougie and it just, kept playing.
No, I also have the commercial-free Hulu.
If we want the writers to get paid more. Anyway, but here's the thing. So it's beautiful commentary, but it's also setting up for like how we interpret the ending, and the ending is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
But we gotta get there. Keep leading us.
Okay. So. Oh no! I spilled.
What?
Water.
What did you spill? Oh.
It's fine. It landed on my shorts. They're pretty absorbent. So the simulation, as we said,
how do you know?
The simulation is now caught up with the real world.
Soak up a lot of jizz with those shorts.
So they have their simulation, and that's when they see the black holes colliding.
Little whore.
So the simulation people are wondering if
you're
they
not
are
going
in a black
to that so dance with your dirty pillows out.
Decide that they're gonna.
You're going in the closet to pray, young lady.
They're gonna test. They're gonna see if they can find out if the world is a simulation by collapsing a magnetar.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a Pokemon. It's not.
Yeah. A magnetite. This is, what's funny about this is they're basically telling us how we, in our own reality, if we had the capability to do what they're doing, they're telling us this is how we could test too.
Well, maybe, except for I'm pretty sure a magnetar is not a real thing.
But you know what I mean?
I suppose if we could smash 2 black holes together, then yeah. Because the whole thing is, if these complex things are happening, then the computer won't be able to keep up and everything will start glitching out. That's the way to test it.
Sure. the whole thing, I forgot to mention this earlier when I was on my tirade about
Like
Elon
playing a new
Musk.
video game on a crummy, underpowered game system. Exactly. Like my cheapskate grandma got me. Continue.
here's the other thing about that whole way of thinking. And if we zoom out a little bit and stop talking
Much
about
like we do in
Elon
this
Musk,
episode.
Yeah. It's this. It's like the reason why this simulation theory is popular amongst these narcissistic tech bros is because they are too science driven to believe in religion, but they're just as scared of death as any religious person. They're just as scared of what could be after as any other person. So they want to believe something that convinces them that they're immortal. That's what religion is. That's what this whole like tech bro revolution is. Like everyone's just looking for a way to just not be so scared of dying. And if everyone
And do you think
just
that you
admit
also
that,
maybe do that?
oh, I for sure do. I mean,
Okay,
I'm
cool,
doing
cool.
everything
Cool,
I
cool.
can to live forever. Trust me. But I'm self-aware that that's what I'm doing. Here's the thing. It's like, if we could all just admit to each other we're just scared of dying, don't you think we could all get along a little bit better?
Did you see that episode of that HBO documentary show where the guy went to the cryo lab and saw the frozen heads? Like, he didn't see the heads, but he saw the containers that they're in.
And what did he say about it?
He's like a very his whole thing is he's very sort of objective when he like interviews his subjects. So he's just in there like, yeah, tell me about the cryo lab and the frozen heads. And the guy's like, yeah, there's 8 bodies in that chamber. There's 6 heads in that chamber. And it's just a bunch of people who have frozen their heads or
Does it cost
bodies.
less to preserve your head
Yes.
rather than the whole body?
Mm-hmm.
And the thought is that they could bring you back to life by downloading your consciousness or something,
No, I
or
think
like
the
implanting your
perhaps.
brain in a robot body or something.
All the people they interview are thinking more that there will be either robot bodies or other artificial bodies in the future, and they're banking on that.
And so, and they've set up like a fund that just pays for their...
It sort of seems like a pyramid
What
scheme.
happens if someone... Oh my God. A
Yeah.
pyramid scheme.
I'll send you the link. I mean, they are really freezing the people's heads. I just don't think like it's gonna work.
Do you know how I was just saying I absolutely am guilty of all the things I'm saying? Because you know I believe in ghosts because there's a part of me that, yeah, like I'm a witch version of the thing, right? But that's the thing, is my idea of living forever is having my corpse planted with a tree so that my spirit might take place in a tree, you know, and I could live forever in a tree. Like these people want to believe that
It's gonna be a really loud tree.
they're the only person that matters. You know what I mean? Like that's what has cursed our society. That's what's cursing our society right now, is the idea that they are the only person that matters.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna live on by this podcast. That's about it. I'm immortal.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry,
I'm
honey.
immortal
As
because
your
of this
mother, I should have
podcast.
left you more of a lineage. I can't believe that's your dowry. I mean, that's your inheritance. Your inheritance is this podcast. I failed you. I'm sorry.
Everyone's wondering if they're a simulation, and Leela says, I want to know if I'm not in a simulation, but I don't want to know if I am. Does that make sense?
And the professor says, absolutely. Thank you, professor. The professor has been so reasonable this episode.
Yeah, actually. He's reasonable and he's getting things done, you know? Very competent professor. So, back in the regular world, Bender objects to letting the simulation people know that they're a simulation because they're on their way to the Magnetar.
Yeah. And they're about to reveal
They get there.
that they are a simulation.
Now, Bender, for whatever reason, it kind of makes sense when he says it, but there's a few leaps in logic, and he's like, I wish I could be the one to tell them that they're in a simulation if they're going to find out.
They
So
just
he-
needed to get Bender's consciousness into the simulation.
Yeah, because he's software, and this is software, so if they send him down, it's going to push that simulation Bender into the block simulation, and then it will just keep going down.
And the professor says it's Bender's all the way down.
All the way down.
Now, this sets up importantly that Bender goes into, he goes into his stasis. He sends his consciousness into the simulation, and everyone continues to watch what plays out. But before Bender himself can reveal to everyone that they're in a simulation,
he's about
in
to
an
do a
attempt
reveal.
to break the bad news to them in a soft way that he will enjoy because he loves breaking bad news. Right before he can, Fry and Leela make an announcement to the crew that they realize that it doesn't matter one way or another, that they are real because they can feel what they feel, and that means more than thinking what they think that they feel. Like Descartes said, I think, therefore I am, and then Hermes says in this episode, I feel, therefore I am, which is kind of, I do think it's a good update to that, thinking might mean that you're sentient.
Thinking's overrated, man.
If we're talking about humanity, people need to fucking remember how to feel empathy for one another. Nowadays, it feels like we only feel empathy once something affects us. And I think that's why COVID was such a unifying experience, because it affected everyone at once. And right now we're looking at the world and people are being shamed for showing empathy. And that's scary.
Okay.
Sorry. I keep taking it to a
You okay? How you doing?
No, I'm not okay. Have you opened the window and looked outside?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So,
anyway. I like this TV show though.
Yeah. So they send Bender down. They send him into the place, and he boots up, and he is interrupted by them saying that they love each other no matter what. It's very sweet. And
they come to a good resolution.
Yeah, he sort of, even though they said it was impossible, he just kind of comes back to the real world. And he's...
No! That's the thing.
What happened?
Oh, honey.
Hey, what happened? What happened?
So that's the whole fucking thing so they send Bender down.
I know.
Bender is about to deliver the bad news. Before he can, Fry, they interrupt. They've all come to a resolution. And then the professor continues with imploding the star anyway.
Yes.
Now, that is
it's
going
a
forward. The magnetar. So now the magnetar in the simulation is imploding. At the same time, it is causing too much. It is needing too much energy.
Yes.
And the Simputron is starting to break down.
Yes, it overheats and it catches on fire.
And that is the same thing that's happening with the magnetar in the simulation. Them trying to make the magnetar implode realistically for the simulation is too much for them to handle. And then Bender boots up and says, I've got a solution, and has an extra computer chip that fixes everything. That's not our Bender. That's the Bender from the simulation above. The Bender from this, and then the professor reveals. Then the professor reveals that the simulation is going to now move to their point of view. It's going to move very slow.
Yeah, so that the computer can keep up.
Yes, exactly. So that they don't have the ability to check in on the simulation anymore. The simulation is now a moot point.
It seems frozen to them because it's moving so imperceptibly slow.
He says it's a moot point. So basically, we don't have to worry what happened to our Bender. We see that his resolution is happy. Our Bender is now in a simulation.
Whoa.
And we now have the next reality up's Bender.
Whoa.
That's how the episode ends.
Whoa.
There you go.
Well, it's not totally how it ends because we do get a very nice
I know. But I mean,
no, but that is wild, and I didn't understand that.
That is some incredible writing. That's why I kept saying it's important to think about all of this stuff throughout the episode. It's incredible writing.
Okay, well,
it's
you're
great for the show.
being a little
It's
diminishing
really
right now.
What? To you?
Being like, oh, it's important. It's like, I'm just fucking paying
Oh,
attention. I
fuck
took notes.
you. I'm just trying to say why I've been such a librarian about this the whole time. Oh, I shouldn't say anything bad about librarians. Why did I say that like that?
They keep our system. They keep
I
our
was letting
society
you know
afloat.
why I've been such an anal cunt the whole time.
Anal cunt. Wasn't there a metal band in the 90s or the 2000s called Anal Cunt?
Because I'm an anal retentive cunt. I'm an anal cunt. Which has a double entendre for this little lady. We're going to have to bleep that.
He realized. We go back into the simulation one more time, and it's slowly glitching out. They're about to realize that they do indeed live in a simulation, but it becomes very, very slow for us, and it ends on Fry and Leela almost kissing, which honestly, we know that there's going to be 10 more episodes, but if this was the new series finale, I wouldn't mind. That would be an interesting way to end it.
Here's the thing about their kiss that I'm asking a question about, though, to you.
Okay.
Is I like that it ends with them leaning into kiss. Now, what they are saying over and over this season is that Fry and Leela's relationship, we've also learned in the original seasons from Nibbler in many different ways, that Fry and Leela's relationship is very important to the fabric of the universe. Like, their relationship,
even if they're ducks and eggs.
Yeah. And it needs to happen. Now, I like that it ends with them kissing, but did you notice that right as they're as they're getting closer, their eyes started looking worried? Now, my question is, do you think their eyes started looking worried, or was that just them about to close their eyes?
I think they're closing their eyes, Mom.
Okay, then I drop it.
That's how you know they're in love. You know, Heartbreakers? Remember that movie?
I love that movie.
And then Sigourney is like, hey, Sigourney? Yeah. Sigourney Weaver is like, hey, you kissed him with your eyes closed. You're a bad girl. And she's like, I don't love him. And then she does.
Yes, I already said I remember.
Well, what if the people at home don't remember? It's a really good movie.
Heartbreakers is a very good movie, yes. Sigourney Weaver, Jennifer Love Hewitt, and Ray Liotta, may he rest in peace. This is the second time I've talked about Ray Liotta. I mean, I thought about Ray Liotta. I was going to bring him up earlier, but I thought it was too much of a tangent, so I didn't. But
what were you going to talk about Ray Liotta earlier for?
Well, we were talking about how this podcast is your legacy, and I was just thinking about how Ray Liotta's final film was Cocaine Bear, and I actually think Cocaine Bear was it got kind of like, what's the word when it's not like,
mixed reviews? What are you saying?
Mixed reviews. That's what I'm trying to say. It got mixed reviews, but I thought it was actually quite damn good.
I think that's maybe not a movie for critics. I think that's just a fun, silly movie that maybe snobby critics are like,
I'm so
I don't
sick
like
of
this.
critics having a say in comedy and like things that, like, I'm sorry, it's not for you.
Is this about that YouTube comment?
Which one? No, it's more so about like, oh my God, how much stupid shit directed by men, starring men, about men, do I have to fucking watch that gets through the radar? And fucking Elizabeth Banks does one passion project and everyone wants to pick it apart with a fine-tooth comb. Meanwhile, M. Night Shyamalan... M. Night Shyamalan.
There you go.
Sorry. Meanwhile, M. Night Shyamalan continues to produce steaming piles of shit.
I liked his last two movies.
Old?
I liked Old.
Old was hilarious.
Old would have been better if they cut the last 20 minutes out, but I did like Old.
No. Old was not... Old was a good premise with a crappy script.
Spoilers for Old. Do you remember?
He shouldn't do everything. Work with a team, M. Night.
Yeah, he does need like someone to help him write some of these scripts.
He needs people to like bounce ideas off of.
Mm-hmm. No, but what worked, the best scene in the movie is the bone lady with the calcium. Remember her?
I know. about the bone lady.
And I remember when Old came out and I watched Old, I texted you about it and I sent you the video of the bone lady and I said my only regret is that I have bonitis.
I know, and it was very funny, and that's the thing.
So if one of our listeners wants to make a meme of the bone lady from Old and the bonitis guy, and you want to mix those together somehow, go ahead and send that to Jinkx's personal email.
No, stop it.
I don't know.
Listen,
send it somewhere. Post it and tag us. I don't know.
Send it to you.
Send it to me. Okay, yeah. DM it to me. Oh, God. I'm going to get more DMs. I'm only going to respond if it's a good meme. Has to be good. If you make a lazy-ass meme, I won't look at it or respond to it. Anyway.
Listen, M. Night Shyamalan has made some good movies.
Did you see the one with the gay dads and Batista? and your buddy Rupert
The point is, no one stops him from making more movies.
True.
But a female director makes one movie and people like pick it apart with a fine-tooth comb, and then every other female director is thinking that's going to make it that much harder. You know, they just want to find ways to pick apart female directors' films.
Olivia Wilde.
They do it
Olivia
all
Wilde's
the time.
first movie. I didn't see Don't Worry, Darling. It didn't look very interesting to me. But Olivia Wilde's first movie, Booksmart, is brilliant. And everyone's just acting like that movie never came out because of the onstage drama of this particular production. You know, it's so stupid. Booksmart's so great.
Sorry, but the Barbie film was written, directed, starring, produced by females, and then everyone spent all their time talking about Ryan Gosling's performance. Like, it's just like, I mean, so here's where I'm at. I'm at a place where I'm just kind of pissed off all the time.
That makes me feel angry.
So I'm looking at everything through pissed colored lenses. Ew. Because I'm pissed.
Why would you say that?
Piss is a color and an emotion. And a pee-pee.
Oh. So, we don't... I want to find a reason to still hit this let me ask you something button. So should we...
ask me something.
Well, should we ask it... Well, we're working on the podcast together. So, let me pitch it. Should we ask each other things? What are you doing? Pay attention. She's not paying attention to me.
Okay.
So, what if we ask each other something at the end of each episode so that we can still hit this button?
Okay.
Should it be about the show or should it be about our lives?
Of course it should be about the show.
Okay, well, I'll hit the button then.
Hey, let me ask you something.
You first.
Okay, so when this episode finished, how did you feel about life?
I would say this is probably the only episode this season that really kind of took a philosophical swing, you know?
No, I disagree. We had the episode about the virus that took a philosophical swing.
No, but I'm not talking about like a topical thing. I'm not talking about like lampooning a real life event. I'm not talking about that.
It ended with him saying that science and magic are basically the same thing.
I'm comparing it to like Godfellas, you know, like an episode where the whole premise is like a philosophical idea. That wasn't the whole premise of the COVID episode.
Are you bringing up the... Oh! You asked me what I thought was the worst episode?
Yeah.
I think it's the Leonardo da Vinci episode.
What?
I think
like
that
one.
might be... No, that's one of the worst. That one's one of the worst.
Matronio. It's really funny.
I also was pretty pissed off about the car episode, wasn't I?
You hate that episode. Yeah, I think that's your least favorite.
That might be, but also I hate...
You also hate the one where...
but here's the thing, is
Fry
I can
becomes...
I can have the capacity to hate one aspect of something and still love it. You know? People need to remember we can have multiple feelings about things.
I've got a whole bunch of feelings about you. So... Have we filled our allotted time? Should we wrap it up?
You knocked over the space pulp. Wait, did you say anything about life?
I thought we weren't talking about life. You said the show.
I said, when the episode... episode, you said philosophically.
Oh.
How did it make you feel philosophically? And then you got to ask me a question.
Oh, okay. So it made me feel like, yeah, what matters is love. And that's why they kissed.
Okay. It made me
Because
feel like I want to...
That's like a very centering emotion.
Listen, I was watching this docuseries on Netflix about alien encounters. And this school teacher basically said that the aliens visited her multiple times and could tell that she was frustrated and asked if she wanted to go with them. And I was kind of thinking, I want to go. I want to get the hell out of here.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Precisely. But then I also think I got to stay behind because I got to protect my babies.
The cats?
Well, the cats, you, others, you know, I got a lot of babies I got to look after.
That
Anyway.
just raises further questions.
Ask me a question.
What are you going to watch cartoon-wise now that we're out of Futurama episodes for a little bit? What's going to be where you land? Have you watched the end of Disenchantment yet? I have not seen it yet.
No, I haven't. I might watch that, but you know, it's hard when I'm creating something new, it's hard to watch new things because it's like I don't want them to influence
It's so hard to
me.
create.
Oh,
It's like
shut
I
up.
rip out a piece of my soul and leave it on the page every single day.
I didn't. Oh God.
That's what you're like.
No, it's more so that when I'm writing, I put on things that don't make my brain think too hard because my brain spends the whole day thinking really hard. Does that make sense? Does that appeal to your little bourgeois Harvard, your Southern California bourgeois point of view?
I literally don't know what you're doing. It seems like you were referencing something, but then just...
I think I was, but I can't remember if I said it right or
So you
what
just
it
started
was.
doing a thing
I
and
just
hope
started
no one
doing
would
a
notice.
That's exactly what happened. That's pretty much exactly how it all played out.
You know what? We know each other really well, and I think that's a nice note to end on.
Okay, so now that we've finished season 11, we are gonna thank the Futurama writing staff, thank the Futurama voiceover staff for a wonderful season, and we are going to go back to season 3 on our next episode. As we said, the episodes are going to just be Nick and myself, unless we have a special reason to bring in a guest. I gotta say, I like it. It's not hard to fill up an hour talking with you, and it allows us to really comb through the minutia of our ridiculous need to have our point of view validated.
Yeah. Also, it's the only time we talk to each other. You ignore me. The second the Zoom.
Okay, that is not true. That is not true, and you know it.
So
Don't
I'm
spread
happy
that
to get a
lie
little
to
more,
our listener.
I'm happy to get a little extra
Listener,
face
he
time
is
with
just listen to me. He's being an asshole.
She was staying in LA for a month, and
my
I
God.
saw her at the market, and she pretended she didn't recognize me.
This is a
It was crazy.
bold-faced lie.
It was mean. So that's the end of this episode. Come see us next
You
week.
don't get to end the episode on a lie. Just for that, everyone DM Nick.
No, I don't
and
want any more.
Ask him his opinion on certain geopolitical.
Please do not do that. No, do not DM me. I don't like it. I only got like 3 nudes, and they were nice, but no more. I got stuff to do.
Okay, we'll see you next week with a brand new episode about an old show that we like a lot.
Okay, bye.
Have a futuristic day, everybody.
Wow.